In the world of crime and justice, some stories linger in our collective memory not just because of the tragedy they entail, but because of the extraordinary journeys toward resolution. The cases of Mandy Stavik and Tara Grinstead stand as poignant reminders of the enduring quest for truth and the relentless determination of those who refuse to let victims be forgotten. These narratives unfold in two distinct settings, each marked by heartbreak, unanswered questions, and the pursuit of justice over decades. In one, a community's peace is shattered by the loss of a bright young woman whose vibrant life is cut short in the prime of her youth. In the other, we encounter a similarly devastating tale where resolution remained elusive, until advancements in forensic science illuminated paths once thought impossible. Together, these cases explore the resilience of families, the dedication of investigators, and the breakthroughs in technology. Case 1. Vanished without a trace. The mystery of Tara Grinstead. In October 2005, the small, tight-knit community of Acme, Georgia, was thrust into the national spotlight for all the wrong reasons. A beloved high school teacher and former beauty queen, Tara Grinstead, mysteriously vanished, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions, shattered lives, and a case that would baffle investigators for more than a decade. What happened to Tara Grinstead? And who was responsible for her disappearance? This is her story. Tara Grinstead was the epitome of Southern charm and success. Born in 1974, she grew up in Hawkinsville, Georgia, and excelled in academics and extracurricular activities. After earning her teaching degree, she moved to Acme, where she taught history at Irwin County High School. Her students adored her, and her community respected her. But Tara was more than just a teacher. She was a mentor, a friend, and a beauty queen. Despite her accomplishments, Tara's life wasn't without its challenges. Friends would later describe her as someone who carried immense pressure to succeed, sometimes masking her struggles behind that winning smile. Saturday, October 22, 2005, seemed like any other day for Tara. She attended a local beauty pageant earlier in the evening, and then stopped by a friend's barbecue. Around 11 p.m., Tara left for home. It would be the last time anyone saw her alive. When Tara failed to show up for work the following Monday, concern turned to alarm. Friends and colleagues called the police, and the investigation into her disappearance began. Her home showed no signs of a struggle, but her cell phone, purse, and keys were left behind, a chilling detail that hinted something was terribly wrong. The search for Tara was one of the largest in Georgia's history. Hundreds of volunteers joined law enforcement in scouring the area. Billboards with Tara's face were plastered across the state, and her case drew national media attention. But despite the massive effort, no trace of Tara could be found. As days turned into weeks, the investigation faced mounting challenges. Leads went cold, and rumors spread like wildfire. Who would want to harm Tara Grinstead and why? Over the years, numerous suspects were questioned. Some theorized that Tara had been abducted by a stranger, while others suspected someone close to her. An ex-boyfriend became the focus of speculation, but without evidence, the case stalled. The lack of evidence frustrated investigators, and the case went cold. But in Acme, the memory of Tara lingered like a shadow over the community. For years, her friends and family clung to hope, refusing to believe she was gone forever. Nearly 12 years after Tara's disappearance, a shocking break in the case reignited hope for justice. Ryan Duke, a former student at Irwin County High School, was arrested and charged with Tara's murder. Duke's confession pointed to a chilling scenario. He claimed he had broken into Tara's home intending to burglarize it, but panicked and killed her when she confronted him. Duke's confession led investigators to a secluded pecan orchard, where they discovered what were believed to be Tara's remains. Forensic evidence would later confirm the identity. The arrest of Ryan Duke brought mixed emotions to Acme. While some felt relief that justice was finally within reach, others questioned the investigation and Duke's confession. Ryan claimed he wasn't acting alone. implicating his friend Bo Dukes in helping to dispose of Tara's body. The revelation painted a grim picture of betrayal and deceit. In 2022, Ryan Dukes' trial began, drawing intense media scrutiny. The defense argued that Dukes' confession was coerced and unreliable. Meanwhile, Bo Dukes was sentenced to 25 years in prison for his role in covering up the crime. The trial exposed deep wounds in Asilla, as neighbors took sides and debated who was truly responsible. While the legal battles continue, Tara Grinstead's legacy lives on. Scholarships have been created in her honor, and her story has inspired new efforts to solve cold cases. Tara was more than a victim. She was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Case 2, Justice for Mandy Stavik, Unraveling a Cold Case Mystery. Acme, Washington, an unassuming town nestled in the shadow of the Cascade Mountains. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else, where life moves at a gentle pace, and where crime, especially violent crime, seems like a distant concern. But in 1989, that peaceful facade was shattered. What began as a Thanksgiving weekend filled with family, warmth, and gratitude quickly turned into a nightmare that would haunt the town for decades. This is the story of Mandy Stavik, a bright, talented, and beloved young woman whose tragic murder would remain a mystery for nearly 30 years. It is also a story of resilience, perseverance, and the relentless pursuit of justice, even when all hope seemed lost. In this narrative, we will journey through Mandy's life, the events of that fateful weekend, the painstaking investigation that followed, and the eventual resolution that brought long-awaited answers to her family and community. This is not just a tale of tragedy. It is also a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of science to uncover the truth. Before the tragedy that made her name synonymous with loss, Mandy Stavik was a beacon of light in the Acme community. Born in 1971, Mandy was the third of 4 siblings in the Stavik family. Her mother, Mary, described her as the glue that held their family together, a vivacious, caring young woman who had a knack for making people smile. Growing up in Acme, Mandy excelled in everything she put her mind to. She was an honor roll student, a star athlete on the high school track team, and a natural leader among her peers. Friends remember her as someone who was not only talented, but also kind-hearted and humble. Teachers described her as a student who brought energy and enthusiasm into every classroom she entered. Mandy's potential was limitless. She had dreams of attending college, traveling the world, and making a difference in the lives of others. Tragically, those dreams would be cut short. The Thanksgiving of 1989 should have been a time of joy and celebration. Mandy, home from college, decided to go for a jog, a routine she had done countless times before. Accompanied by her dog, Kyra, she set off along Strand Road, a route that meandered through serene landscapes and quiet neighborhoods. It was a route so familiar that no one thought twice about her safety. The day after Thanksgiving, Mandy decided to go for a run with the family dog, Kyra. This was a familiar route for Mandy, a stretch of quiet roads and trails near her home. As she set off, no one could have imagined it would be the last time they'd see her alive. When Mandy didn't return after a few hours, her family began to worry. By nightfall, their concern turned into panic. A search party was organized, and the tight-knit Acme community rallied together to find Mandy. Despite their efforts, there was no sign of her. 3 days later, the search came to a devastating end. Mandy's body was found in the Nooksack River, a few miles from her home. She had been brutally assaulted and left to die in the freezing waters. The discovery sent shockwaves through Acme. How could such a horrific crime happen in their peaceful town? Parents held their children closer. Neighbors looked at each other with suspicion, and fear settled over the community like a dark cloud. For Mandy's family, the pain was immeasurable. The police began their investigation, but in 1989, the tools available to law enforcement were limited. Leads were scarce, and the case quickly grew cold. For years, Mandy's murder remained an open wound for her family and the community. Years passed, and Mandy's case remained unsolved. But her family and friends never gave up hope. They kept her memory alive, advocating for the case to be reopened and for new leads to be pursued. It wasn't until the early 2000s that advancements in forensic technology breathed new life into the investigation. DNA testing had come a long way since the late 1980s. Evidence collected from Mandy's case was re-examined, and a DNA profile of the suspect was developed. While this was a significant breakthrough, there was still one major hurdle: finding a match. The suspect's DNA didn't match anyone in the criminal database. Years turned into decades, and the case remained cold. But behind the scenes, detectives were determined to keep searching. In 2018, a groundbreaking development occurred. Investigators turned to genetic genealogy, a revolutionary technique that had already helped solve several high-profile cold cases. By comparing the suspect's DNA to public genealogy databases, they could potentially identify distant relatives of the perpetrator. The process was meticulous and time-consuming, but it paid off. Investigators identified a family tree that included a potential suspect: Timothy Bass, a former neighbor of the Stavik family. Bass had lived near Mandy at the time of her murder and had a history of suspicious behavior. However, obtaining his DNA to confirm the match proved to be a challenge. Undercover investigators collected a discarded cup from Bass. When the DNA was tested, the results were undeniable. It was a match. After nearly 30 years, the identity of Mandy's killer had been uncovered. In December 2018, Timothy Bass was arrested and charged with Mandy's murder. The news brought a mixture of relief and sorrow to the Stavik family and the Acme community. Justice was finally within reach, but the emotional toll was immense. By the time Timothy Bass was charged, the world had changed drastically since 1989. Yet, for Mandy's family, the trial was a long-awaited moment, a chance to confront the man accused of taking their daughter's life. The trial began in 2019, drawing national attention. Prosecutors painted a chilling picture of Bass, a man who had harbored dark secrets for decades. They presented the DNA evidence as the cornerstone of their case, meticulously explaining how genetic genealogy had identified him as the suspect. The defense, however, argued that the DNA evidence was insufficient to prove Bass's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. They questioned the reliability of genetic genealogy and attempted to cast doubt on the chain of custody for the evidence. But the prosecution had more than DNA. Witnesses testified to Bass's peculiar behavior over the years, including his obsessive interest in Mandy before her murder. Former co-workers described him as controlling and secretive, while neighbors recounted unsettling encounters. The trial was emotionally charged, with Mandy's family attending every session. For them, each day in court was a reminder of the vibrant life that had been stolen. After weeks of testimony and arguments, the case was handed to the jury. The weight of their decision was palpable, not only for the Stavik family, but for the entire Acme community. On May 24, 2019, the jury reached a verdict. The courtroom fell silent as the foreperson stood to deliver the decision. We, the jury, find the defendant, Timothy Bass, guilty of the murder of Mandy Stavik. For Mandy's family, the verdict was a bittersweet victory. Justice had finally been served, but the pain of their loss remained as raw as ever. Bass was sentenced to nearly 27 years in prison, the maximum allowed under the law at the time of the crime. In the months following the trial, the Stavik family worked to rebuild their lives. They honored Mandy's memory by sharing her story and advocating for advancements in forensic technology. Her case became a symbol of the power of persistence and the breakthroughs made possible by modern science. Acme, too, began to heal. The trial and conviction had brought some closure, but the scars of Mandy's loss would remain a part of the town's history forever. Mandy Stavik's story is more than a tale of tragedy. It is a testament to the resilience of those who loved her and the relentless pursuit of justice. Her case highlighted the potential of genetic genealogy to solve even the coldest cases, inspiring law enforcement agencies worldwide to adopt this revolutionary tool. The Stavik family continues to honor Mandy's legacy through community involvement and support for victims' families. Their courage in the face of unimaginable loss has left an indelible mark on all who hear their story. As we conclude this journey, we are reminded of the profound impact one life can have. Mandy Stavik's light was extinguished too soon, but her memory continues to shine brightly, guiding the path to justice for others. This is not just a story about solving a crime. It is a story about never giving up on justice, on truth, and on the enduring power of love.